morning, everybody. It is so good to have you here with me. Imagine
If you have your vision as the car with the right team.
Imagine how quick that vision will come into the footsteps. Something that was taking 5 years takes 3 months. This morning is all about the leadership and influence. Good morning, everybody. Greetings. It's so good to see you again. Welcome back to our show. This is Tuesday. We are on show here this morning, and we are so glad for your kindness, and we are so glad that you tune in here this morning again. And this morning we're having a wonderful discussion. But before we get to that, I just want to mention to you that the shows are doing really well. We started the Insights show as late or as early as last November, mid-November only, and we are so happy for people who subscribe to the show, and also thank you so much for hitting that bell. And the engagement. Yesterday we had a wonderful show. Tomorrow will also not be different. Every day is so good. Every single show we are here to serve you. This is a platform to give you insights on anything and everything. It doesn't matter what it is. And this morning we are discussing church membership and how active are you within this whole COVID thing. But before we roll out on this COVID thing, I just want to take this opportunity and single one specific person in that's for the very first time on our show here. And we welcome a person by the name of Nikki. As a matter of fact, her name is not just Nikki. She's got a very expensive name, but you're gonna hear from her. Nikki, I'm gonna throw the ball at you. Where your thumb lands, that's where you read. Right? Are you ready? Did you play basketball at school? All right. Right. Let's see if you can catch this. Right, there's it coming. All right.
Okay.
Read there, please? Closer to the mic.
Okay, name 2 healthy coping skills.
Yes. What do you do to cope?
Okay, so I read. I love reading. And I just sit in my peaceful room and I think.
Okay, you all by yourself when you play. I know people that they bang and hit the doors and break stuff down. Others take a long walk.
If I could play the drums, I definitely would.
I can imagine. Well, last night we had a family meeting again. Father Cyril Ramaphosa was online again. I love one of the guys. You know Apostle Atifanel. He joked one day when I mentioned. I said to him, "Well, tonight is family meeting again." He said, "That's not a family meeting because at least you can communicate at a family meeting. But this is just a one-way stream. And there's no questions. The media." He just give it to you, and then he said, "May it go well with you," whatever the last closing in remarks are, and then he will leave. And then I guess he's rushing to reach at 9 o'clock curfew. Yeah, I think that's the reason why there's no. But at least, well, let's talk a little about what happened last night. Pastor Lester, what was the announcements about last night? Maybe 3 or 4 new stuff.
Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. Church is back.
Yes, we give it up.
That was the most important
Church is back.
that stood out for me.
Yeah, there's a few other things also. For instance, you can take a walk on the beach again.
Yeah, look, you can take a walk on the beach.
Yeah.
Because it was dangerous if you outside. Although they say that you must not be in a closed environment,
yeah.
Because that's 20 times more risk of getting the virus. And so because of that, we close the beaches, but we keep the malls open.
Yeah, give it up for the malls. The malls can.
Wow.
Yeah, and the gyms, all the gyms. Give it up for the gyms. The gyms can.
And the taxis, the taxis full.
The taxis are full.
Full
Yeah.
airplanes also next to each other. Yeah.
So
Great
now
logic, guys.
the beaches are open again. So I think that's a good thing.
Oh my God! I'm telling you, I don't know what's happening there on top structure, but all I know, the South African Council of Churches, are doing nothing for us.
Nah,
They're just a useless group of people representing the church. They don't represent us.
Nah.
I can tell you, they feeding their bellies, a old man sitting there on that structure. There's no passion for church anymore for them.
No passion.
And I think we should really come together. The church must come together and vote them out, or put pressure on the president to get a new group out.
Yes.
Because they just done. They do nothing for us. Absolutely
That's a
nothing. Maybe back in the day during the apartheid they had a voice.
Yes.
But I think they've lost their voice. They don't know how to represent us anymore, because they don't speak on behalf of the church anymore. There's nothing. They cannot even debate the president to say, you know what, Mr. President, the mall allows in one shop more than 50 people.
Yes.
There's thousands in the mall. They don't do tracking in the mall and stuff like that. And the church is the safest place.
Correct.
To me.
I think we had a voice. The last time we had a voice was with Archbishop Desmond Tutu and Dr. Ellen Busak. I think that was the last.
But these are
when-
just a whole lot of puppets.
Yeah,
We've got
we-
puppets as the South African Council of Churches. They just a group of useless leaders. That's all I can say about them. But we should change them. The church should really change them. We need some young guys in their 30s and their 40s. Some young guys that have a zeal for church and one church. Some vibrant guys that think like businessmen. You keep the mall open. Guys like taxi drivers.
Yes.
That say you keep the taxis running. You should have a voice out there. Well, there was a whole lot of other things that was also positive. You can drink now again. So COVID. Do you
Not
know what
gonna
I like
specify
about
what.
COVID? COVID is dangerous up to the point when the president make announcement. The minute he's done with the announcement, COVID disappear.
Yeah.
And then COVID is in a good space.
It's interesting that we've got our first batch of vaccines that landed yesterday. And yesterday the announcement is that the rates have dropped. Man, that's so amazing. COVID just waits for the vaccines to land, you know.
From India nogals.
COVID saw the plane coming over like, hey, let's
COVID
get
said,
out of
"Yay!"
here. Here's the vaccines we gotta do.
Oh my word, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. So I just want to say, you know what, for whatever reasons, a very interesting thing about the rest of Africa, Ghana and all the other places, the numbers are not as high as South Africa. I don't know why on the continent of Africa, why we so unique and special to have the numbers so high.
Yeah.
If there is a conspiracy theory and people, the president attacked it severely last night, any form of conspiracy theories. But I think if you take our cue from the announcements and what's happening out there, we don't have any doubt but to wonder. We've got the right to wonder. So what's really happening? What makes South Africa so uniquely different from Nigeria, from Ghana, from the rest of Africa? What's so special about us? So I don't know. I don't know what's happening. God knows, and God knows alone. Yes, God knows alone.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So let us get into the show for the morning. We're talking about our members, and I'm so happy. There's such a lot of good reports that we receive from our members. Last night, Pastor Bora, just tell us last night what happened on our WhatsApp groups with our members there. There was a buzz.
There was a buzz,
Yeah.
definite buzz. They were so excited when that announcement was made that church is opening that our WhatsApp groups immediately started popping. People said, please register me for the services so that I can be in services. I mean, we have not even started registration this morning. And I think we are already full for Wednesday as well as,
Sunday.
and Sunday. It's just, the registrations are just flowing in.
Well, let me just say everybody's welcome. You come to
You
tomorrow
come, yeah.
night. We have church tomorrow night. You are more than welcome to come. The church is open just like the malls. The
Yeah.
church is open just like the taxi ranks. The church is open just like I'm preaching now. The church is open just like the
beaches.
Like the beaches. The church is open just like the gyms. And the church, oh my God, we are so late. But the reason why we were not open because we've got a useless group of people that's representing the church up there. That's why we were not open. And I know
Yeah.
they bias in all their ways. But to our congregation and all the believers that's out there, there's a form of excitement
Yes.
about
Everyone
church.
wants to be in church.
Yeah, we want to be in church, and that's why we're open tomorrow night. Tomorrow's our Wednesday.
Yes.
Wednesday service is our third
7
service. Our third service, 7 o'clock. And you know what's interesting? We also gonna get back to our two services.
Yes.
We do a 9 o'clock service, and then also a 10.
10:30.
10:30 service. So we're back to 2 services, and we just want to accommodate as many people as possible, and as they allow. And everybody, you are more than welcome. Well, let's just get into the program here this morning, and a warm welcome again to Nikki Goliath. Nikki, I was just about to introduce you. You need to tell us who you are and your family, and are you married? Are you not married? And what's your functional role at Crystal Church?
Okay, good morning all. I am Veronique Goliath. I am married with 3 beautiful babies, and I am the administrator at Crystal Church.
That's great. We're going to get more involved with Nikki around her functional role. So I just want everybody to flow. I've got with me again Neil Hudson-Buck here. Today he is on the set now recently. Every time when the cameras roll, he's on the set from a counseling position. Then we have Lash the Constance, Uncle Unk. How do you call him there? How did they call you?
The Unk.
The Unk. You're running some smart programs. You had a beautiful soccer program the other day about the professional soccer players. And then the other day you had a singer on here. What was the name? Bianca Lagrange.
Yes,
wonderful, beautiful child. And she's really doing well. We're so happy. Then I've got Xavier with us here. You know Xavier, he's running his own show. I've got Roden Burra. He's here as a strategist on our organization. And everybody that's on the set here this morning is in a full-time capacity, and everyone have our different respectful roles and so on. I just want to, during this time, how did your function change, Neil Hudson-Buck, around your role as a counseling pastor? But we had to change function. How did it change during this what we call the phygital church? Yeah.
Well, during the phygital age, we had to because of whatever they set down in terms of the lockdown. It became more digitally based in terms of phone calls that we made to the members, being up there, letting them know that we are there for them, we are praying for them. So from that perspective, it has changed more from the touch to a telephone call. But I must say that it has been a positive response from the people that we called, because all that they want to know is that there's a church that is praying for them. And I want to say that there's an excitement about people wanting to come back into the church. I said last time that people want to get back to church, and we've opened it up. And I just want to say to the people, let's get back here. The touch is important, the corporate anointing, the corporate prayer, corporate worship is important. So from just a normal sit down with people, it has become more telephonically based, WhatsApp, everything went to a digital type of platform. But the connection is still there, and I think that is how it changed from the actual physical to the physical, where we do it digitally.
Well, thank you so much. That is very, very kind of you. The question this morning, I received five. As a matter of fact, this was on Pastor Paul Gonzalez's page. I never thought about the congregation back to leadership and the pastor. I was never thinking that it's important for them to communicate back. But the truth is, we always reach out, and you really don't know what's happening on the other side. And then last week he posted 5 specific things that I think is so relevant and very, very important for the congregation to know. And that's the 5 issues that we will discuss. And it was really so beautiful. I literally sent it around to everybody on the set here this morning. I said, let's talk about this, because I was never thinking of that specifically. So the first one, that I most probably will not have it in good order as his order, but I changed the order a little around. So he asked you to WhatsApp your pastor or leaders and let them know that you are okay, and that you're thinking about them. It enlightens the load. They can't call everyone. Don't take it personally. So can we just have a discussion around that aspect? It seems like Xavier, you want to jump in there.
Yeah, for me being a pastor also for the past 10 years, what I've realized is a lot of times there's an expectation on the floor from the congregation members with the mindset of the pastor didn't call me, the church didn't know. So recently we had an incident where somebody's loved one passed, and we've reached out to them, and the response that we got from them was almost like, yeah, my loved one passed away last week. yeah, so I'm busy, I can't make it. Almost this attitude of, you guys didn't phone, you didn't even care, you didn't even reach out to me. And so on that point, I do want to put it out to the congregation to say that staff members here, there's a lot going on. We're all over the place, things are happening, and we are reaching out to the congregational members. However, we won't be able to know if something happened in your personal life at that particular time unless somebody tells us, unless you tell us, unless you tell somebody to let us know. Let somebody know that you know is part of the church so that they can relay the message to us. And a lot of times it's unfair practice almost to expect, the leadership to know off the top of their heads to respond, and then nobody informed us. And so that is a fair point to say that, look, at least reach out to your leadership and say, guys, I'm still fine, or this is the situation, or I've lost a loved one, or something happened to me. And then if we don't respond on that basis, then you can keep us liable. I did send the church a message, I did phone, and I didn't get a response. Then keep us liable. But failure to do so, it's a bit unfair to then put a gun to our heads and expect us to know.
Yeah. The other thing was probably just on that point there. It's most probably easier said than done. On our platforms, most probably, if I can just ask Nikki, what's our WhatsApp platforms? How many platforms do we have? And is there a possibility for them to speak back to us? Because it's not all platforms that allows you really to speak back.
Yes. Okay, so we've got 5 WhatsApp groups at the moment. Leadership, volunteerism, and then 3 WhatsApp groups with our congregation members. And with the congregation members, because we don't want too many messages coming through, people leave groups, we only have admin doing the sending out messages, communicating with them, but they do send me private messages. If I send something in the group, they'll respond to it privately, and then I'll forward the message through whoever it will be to.
I must just add that we decided, most probably at the late stage,
Yes.
just about 3 weeks back,
Yes.
To purchase a phone
Yes.
specifically
For the
congregation to communicate with us.
Yes.
And so that is open now.
Yes.
And they can speak to us on that platform without cluttering the WhatsApp
The
platform.
WhatsApp groups,
So there's
yes.
a number precisely for the
For
congregation.
them.
So it sometimes people don't know what to do. I see you're ready to say something. You go ahead.
Oh, okay. Doc, what I think on that point, not everybody in the congregation is obviously involved in departments.
Yes.
So you have departmental WhatsApp groups and so forth. We do contact people like Xavier says. So we split the congregation up into whoever is here at the office, and we contact them individually.
Yes.
We must just say, a lot of times we get that numbers are changed. We can't get hold of you anymore. So the onus then is not up to us. Therefore, if you're not involved in a department and we can't get hold of you via your contact, then you need to contact us. There's something needs to come from you so that we can take better care of you and check up on you. Yes, we do call people, but most of the time we're getting phone numbers that's not working anymore. So we cannot communicate. And if you don't watch us on social media, we try and put it on Facebook, on YouTube. The number's always available. You can contact that WhatsApp number. You understand what I'm saying? And then we respond to you. So something must come from the congregation as well.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not involved in a department.
And that's the beauty part about that. But when Pastor Paul Gonzalez placed that on, I only realized then, but oh my God, it's something that's so important.
Yes.
And I think that must also become part of administrative teaching. If it comes to staff,
Yeah.
we need to also, and preaching and announcements, we need to involve the congregation with decision making. They should speak back at us, specifically because we can't see them in the foyers and so on.
100%.
And some of the congregational members are struggling all by themselves, just in their marriages. Some struggle with their children. Some struggle because there's only one income, but we don't know.
Exactly.
And here we're driving a campaign where we give food parcels to, I can't remember how many people this campaign is on now within the congregation, and we don't know what's happening on the other side. And you sometimes will think it's just okay with the people because you know them for long. And the last time before lockdown, this first lockdown, they were still in the company.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, you don't know that they lost their
jobs or
jobs
something.
because they just receive an ugly email from their boss to say, we're shutting down, or we're scaling down,
Right.
or the company's closing, and you don't know. And you're sitting on this side, and sometimes it comes across as if you are completely insensitive.
Yeah.
If you don't know, but it is that responsibility also. I just want to when you're done, I'll give Pastor Neil opportunity, and I want to get to Veronique to share a little bit about our anatomy program and what we have, and also our frustration of the numbers.
I think there needs to be a sense of responsibility and maturity also on the part of the member, because also what we found is that sometimes we'll phone someone and they're very disrespectful or abrupt. Yeah, I left the church long ago, why are you phoning me? You know, that kind of response. And then, you know, there wasn't then perhaps something happened in the foyer, or somebody didn't greet you, or so, you know, something simple happened, and that it wasn't brought to our attention, that we don't know about, or, you know, disrespect somewhere, and then somebody might have left the church because of that. And I think the action point out of that would rather be to say, look, come to the office or phone somebody or meet one of the senior members in the foyers or wherever and say, look, I have a disagreement with, you know, Pastor so-and-so, or something happened that I just want to bring to your attention and I'm unhappy about it. Is there some way we can resolve this? As opposed to leaving and then we don't know you're gone, and then we're wondering also, now I'm not seeing this person for the past couple of weeks. Where are they? What's happening? Then when we make the phone call, we get a disrespectful response from your side. And so I think there needs to be a sense of maturity on both sides.
Neil, do
Yes.
you want to piggyback on that?
Yeah, I
or-
want to pick. Yeah.
Okay.
So what I want to say is that church itself is relational. So they can't just be giving from one side and not getting from the other side. I want to let the congregation know there's nothing wrong for you to call the office, even if there's no need that you have, if there's no death or whatever in the congregation, call the office. And just tell them, guys, I'm still around, I'm praying for you. It's one of the things, it's reciprocation of our relationship. Because church in itself is relational.
Yeah.
It's about that relationship, in touch with one another. Phone up and say, listen, just leave a message to the reception, tell the staff we're praying for them, tell Dr. Carl and Pastor Joan that we're behind them. I think it will give us also a sense of, we're also human beings, we also faced with the same thing that everybody's going through. So I think from that, the reciprocation of affection, if I can use the term, will be good. And I want to say to the congregation, give us a call, drop us a WhatsApp, send an email, just find out how things are. It will make things light on our side. Then we have contact with you as well. At the same time, update whatever you need to update so that we have a foothold into your house.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask Veronique again today to send that number out.
Yes.
Afresh.
Yes.
And most probably with a little capturing there, telling them why you're sending the number.
Yeah.
Just to give us your new, maybe you move a house,
Yeah.
new address, new number, new blah, 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 whatever. I just want to get back to church. There's an unfair expectation that church must be a perfect place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A church is like a family. You can never deny your family. That drunk uncle will always and forever be your family. It doesn't matter what you say or do, it will be your family. Church is like that. When there's a misunderstanding in the foyer with somebody, it doesn't mean that you must divorce the family
No.
based on that.
Yeah.
And then also, you must also not put out of the equation that you will always find people that's not for the church.
Yes.
And they've got membership, but they're always negative. And every church have that people. There's not a church without that people. They always somehow will break church down in one form or the other. But that discussion is for another day. But I'm really just piggybacking on what Xavier was saying around that when you make a call, because you make the call just to find out, but you didn't know that the person is not
Yes,
part of the
yes.
church
Yeah.
anymore. You never receive a letter of resignation, or maybe just a WhatsApp or something lightly, or even if it's just on a piece of toilet paper to say I'm done with you.
Yeah.
I'm now with a new church and so on. But Veronique, tell us a little about the system that we run with called Anatomy.
Okay, so Anatomy is a membership system that allows us to. So, what we do is we send out membership forms, or they'll collect the membership forms from us or on the website, fill it out, they give it to us, and we load the member onto the system. It generates an Anatomy ID. So, this is if we don't find the person by surname, maybe the surname was spelled incorrectly, it will pick it up or with the membership ID. On there, we make changes of telephone numbers, email addresses, and this is when we do receive this information. So a lot of the times we've put out ads to say, if you've changed address, if you've changed your number, please visit the iHub or call the office, make contact with me, Nikki, and we do receive that information. A lot of the times people will send me private messages on WhatsApp and say my contact details have changed. I'll go straight on Anatomy, I make the changes on there, and that's how they will receive communication from us. So a lot of the time people say, I haven't received an SMS. That's because your number changed and you didn't inform us. So the minute you let us know, I've changed house, this is my new address, you will then receive all the information you need to know from us. And this is based on Anatomy. We send out SMSs, we send out emails from Anatomy. When we do check-in, we do that on Anatomy, which makes it easier because you register online, we print out the registration for a Sunday, and when you get here, we don't have to scroll and look for your name. You are there. Do your temperature checks, do everything, and that's how we have our.
Can I just add something on that? On the Anatomy WhatsApp, on the Anatomy system, you are able to respond back on the on the SMS. Yes. So if people can, if you get the SMS, if you get, just send a thank you or just send a thumbs up, so that we just know that we're communicating with people. If we don't get information back, we don't know if that email has successfully reached the people. So we just appealing this morning. If you get an SMS, it will come up and it says sent from bulk SMS. So know that it's from the church. It will have the tag Crystal Church there. So respond on that, say thank you, okay, so that we just know that the communication is flowing through. In that way, it helps us to know where we are in terms of, was the call successful? Was the SMS successful? And we can then, based on that, say we called 50 people and we received 50 responses back. So we just want to encourage the congregation, when you get that SMS, just send a thank you or a thumbs up. We will know that we've come through to you.
To the right person.
Yeah, just most probably to Lester, how important it is on the second advice that was on the website. Pastor Paul Gonzalez said data, or if you want to say data, is expensive. Yeah. But you do your best to attend the online sermons. You don't have to be in every session, but try your best to connect for Sundays. And how important is it for congregational members to watch sermons?
It's very important that, and now with the digital age, you can choose when you watch it, right? So it's always available on our platforms. The thing is, you can listen to a whole lot of people, that's fine, but you won't know what's happening in your church and where we're going to. We go in series, so we're busy with the mind of Christ. So Doc will preach a series on that. And it's not just a series that is sucked out of his thumb. It comes through prayer and fasting and through listening to God to steer our congregation. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes. So it's specific. Just like when you come to church, it's specific. And that's important to know that where we at, where the world is at, what the Lord is saying to the shepherd, and how the sheep needs to follow. That's how it works. It's important that, look, data is expensive and so forth. We try from our side, especially with the elderly folk, we try and then take the audio only of the sermons and then WhatsApp that to them, so that they can listen to the audio at least. You know what I'm saying? So there's different ways that we do it depending on who our crowd is or who we want to reach. So it's important for you to log into that and see where we are at. That's very important.
If I can maybe just add, Pastor Lester, the important thing, and I think from the congregation side, is that the reason why it's important for you to get online, even listen to the audio, is because you are not isolated.
Yes.
This is our way of communicating to you, but you just listening to it is your connection with the church. 100%. I know under lockdown circumstances and quarantine circumstances, but that's our way of communicating to you. right? And everybody out there is not isolated. Everybody needs a word from God because we are in difficult circumstances.
Yeah, just on that point again, every church will have a series. And every church will preach specifically. I tell you why. Because if I take everyone's household here around the table, you at different times in different seasons of your life. Most probably, if there was a time that Neil Assenberg was so focused to get to America with his whole family. That was his objective.
Yeah.
And then there was a time again that you just want to get your daughter through her career. That was so you had different times. And then we sit here, then Veronique got smaller children. Her objectives are completely different. Xavier again here, his daughter just started school. So the reason why I'm giving you this long example is simply because the pastor and the shepherd knows exactly where they are for their church.
Yeah.
Some are in a building project.
Yes.
Some know that we need more prayer in the church. Others know that we need to spend more time to get clarity around the power of the Holy Spirit and how the Holy Spirit functions in your life. So we at different points. What I've realized, I don't know if you guys around the table will agree with me, that I've noticed that people that don't regular tune in, not just post COVID. But prior, where people don't attend church on a regular basis, you can clearly see the spiritual growth.
Yeah.
You can clearly see this person comes twice a month, and this one is every week, and that one is every second month. Because you can clearly see them in how they engage with the word and with God. Because a series help you to grow. Because the idea of a series, an idea of listening to the sermons and to listen to your own pastor and your church's shepherd, it's so important because it takes you through just like your child in your house. Because the sheep and shepherd, they know exactly where you are and what's needed. And if you see how we package a whole year's of series, we package it with faith, with the Trinity, with the Holy Communion, with sacraments. You pack it with whatever is needed, the gifts of the Spirit, how that function, and you can go down the line. So by the end of 52 weeks, you can literally look back at a Christian's life, and you can literally see a year's development within that person. But if you just come to church when it pleases you, you think you're doing God a favor, but you're actually shooting yourself in the foot and you're not growing. I don't know if you understand the angle I'm coming from. So and that's the frustration. Most probably from there's certain departments it was really doing well right through COVID. But we need to learn more technique. Let me get to the third point. The third point is man, I cannot tell you how important this is. Pray for your pastors, your leaders, and your members. It makes a difference, not only in the spirit, but also in your heart. What do you think about that, Rodenborough?
Very relevant. There's a scripture that I actually want to reference in 1 Peter 5 that says, be alert and be sober-minded, right? And really, it is when you pray for one another, it's when you pray for one another, it's when you are really sober-minded that the Lord will be able to lift you. I love what that scripture says. It says, humble yourself, therefore, under God's mighty hand, that He may lift you up at the right time. I know it's difficult, but we are going to go over this. We're going to get through this, but we're going to get through this together, supporting one another, praying for one another. Yes, we've got a prayer wall, right, where we're praying for our congregation members. But it's also good to know that our congregation members are praying for us. And that's why all the platforms are there. Even, and like Pastor Neil said, even if it's just a message to say, you know what, we're thinking about you, we love you, we pray for you. It makes even us, that's on this side of the table, feel good. That really there's a blessing in it. So it's very important for them to pray for their pastors, pray for the leaders, because God is going to take us through this.
You know what's interesting right out of this? I was invited on a platform on Sunday to pray with other pastors. The previous week is Pastor Sean. He's running this, and he's doing this from university, from hospital to hospital.
Yes.
He will stand there, put his PA system. I must just commend him on that. That is something else. I tell you, I know you cannot bombard the hospitals with a lot of PA systems.
Yes.
And God blessed him with that idea.
Yes.
But that was a God idea.
Yes. Yes.
And the other day they were praying for Dr. Naidu.
Yes.
And I don't know how he's doing right now. And we really pray and trust God for complete health.
Yes.
What I'm saying, it's really one of the positives of COVID. God is really helping the body of Christ to look back at us
Yes.
as the body.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now we recognize one another because we were so busy building everybody their little kingdom, if you may call it that, and fairly so. That's how God works, because God works with congregational members and shepherds. But there was never a time where we really pause and really come together and say, let's just go online and pray for. So I'm putting a challenge now. But before you go, I want you to go. But I want to put a challenge out.
Okay.
And you go now after. But you know what? I want to challenge you for what Pastor Manny is doing.
Yes.
Pastor, is it Manny or Manny?
Yeah, Pastor Sean Manny.
Pastor Sean Manny. I want to challenge what Pastor Sean Manny is doing with what he called city pastors.
Yeah.
If we can do that with music ministers.
Yeah.
Okay.
You see, where you come online
Yes.
and you have the music ministers from the churches that you have a relationship with,
Right.
because they will respond positively.
Exactly.
And then for this time, you don't come to sing along.
Yeah. Come to pray.
You come to pray.
Yes.
And then you lead it.
Yes.
And bring them online, and we all tune in there and we follow you. And then we ask Neil as a challenge on all the men that's involved with counseling
Yes.
and with family issues. Then your prayers will be guided to family aspects.
Yes.
Your prayers will be guided to spirituality.
Yeah.
That is spiritual, but to spirituality, where we worship together.
Yes.
And it's leading the congregation into the inner court.
Yeah.
You were about to say something.
I'm saying, just alluding to what, or rather, you alluded to the fact in earlier shows that pastors and spiritual leaders are on the front line. We're fighting on the front line because we're doing funerals. We're going to check people that's sick at home and so forth. So we're on the front line, like your nurses and your teachers and whoever. We also on the front line. So we solicit your prayers. It's very important if you pray for us, because that gives us strength, that we can move out into whatever we need to do for the Lord. So we do solicit your prayers because we're fighting on the front line. And that's very important. We cannot do it on our own. We need those prayers because that sustains us.
I think at the point that we're saying now, in fact, the point that you mentioned, the topic, the point that we're on, as far as pray for your pastors, I want to touch on that point, because many times, and Pastor Lester and I had this conversation about, it's easy to come up with a good idea and say, yeah, let's do this and let's do that and let's do that, but it's a different ball game to actually follow it through, to be at the practices, to get the teams together, to actually follow through on the good idea. And so many times what you have is couch potato people, like, do this, do that. Why didn't you? If I was there, I was going to make like this and this and this. And in reality, it's not just about do this and if I was there. It's about, hey, there's somebody here that actually has to have meetings. There's somebody that has to have a rehearsal. There's somebody that has to come in and actually get these things executed and then execute. And then by the time you present the final product, then people are saying, yeah, but now why didn't you rather do it like this and like this? And so instead, and what Pastor Roden was mentioning, that it takes away the criticism and I could have done a better job when you actually say, hey, hold on, let me pray for these people here and let me actually be on their team, because instead of sitting and criticizing, let me actually be a part of the solution. And so I want to also bring that to the congregation to say, let's be part of the solution. Let's rather ask, hey, I see you guys are busy with this. What can I do to assist? I see you need transport. You need something. What can I do? I don't have money, but I can help. I can come help pack something or do something or whatever. And let's rather engage and become united and pray together, as opposed to sit there and say, I could have done a better job and why this and why that. And so, yeah, that's my point on that. Pray for your leaders.
Prayer is so important. I was thinking about leaders just doing this prayer rallies on Zoom online. But you know what? Why don't one of our congregational members don't just do a prayer rally for the pastors?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Exactly.
True.
That will be good. You know that.
Exceptional.
That will be so good.
That's a
And
brilliant idea.
Challenge out.
put 6 people out there on a prayer line and say, this
We're just
is
gonna pray for
congregation
leaders. Yes.
praying for
their
the
pastors.
leadership and pastors.
Oh, wow.
Man, that will be so good. For anybody watching out there, I want you please, I want Leandra just to rush into the studio here, because there's a few things that I just need to bring under your attention. It is almost like a ad break that I want her just to rush in. We almost done, and the show is really doing well. You mentioned something for me to do. What is those things? And is there any questions coming through?
Mostly a lot of comments.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, good morning, everybody.
Tell us first about the subscribe.
Yes, please may I ask that you like, that you can comment. You've been commenting, so that's cool. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Hit that notification bell on the side of the subscribe tab, and then please share this video. You can share it to YouTube. You can share it to, no, not to YouTube. Don't share it to YouTube. You can share it on your Instagram, on your Facebook, and you can share it on WhatsApp. You can copy link, or you can share directly to your status. So I'm just going to go through some of the comments here.
Who's online there?
There's a lot of people. We've got Bruno Billings, Tolo Acts, Craig Oliphant, the Hendricks family over here. We've got Rihanna Lynch. We've got Lorez Alan Cass. And so Rihanna was saying here that I've experienced as an ambassador, so she's an ambassador in Crystal Church, that a lot of congregants want to speak to specific individuals. Example, Dr. Carl, Pastor Joan, Pastor Neil, and they're very impatient when they want attention, almost immediately. They want immediate attention, so that immediate gratification. And she was saying it causes frustration if they don't get a favorable response at the specific time. But they need to know that everyone on the full-time staff are equipped to assist. That's what she was saying.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Well, thank you. Any comment?
I think, dynamics change from church to church, right? And we are so blessed and fortunate in our organization to have multiple talented people, gifted people in all their areas and specific areas. But one thing that we always say, we're not a perfect church, but we strive to our best of our ability to serve our congregation, right? And yes, each and every one, I know sometimes you're looking for a specific person. Somebody would love to speak to the senior pastor, but not always available. But there are capable people available that will be able to address any concern, any question or engagement. And if it is necessary, then definitely that message will get through to the senior pastor, if need be. But importantly, I think the message that we really want to share and get out there is that we are approachable, we are there to serve you in any way possible, and we are available to serve.
And during the week, you can just drive in here.
Yeah.
You'll find us here.
Yes.
You can just drive in here, you will get us here, and we'll negotiate. Just back on, who asked that question? Rihanna.
Yeah.
I think she asked that question. Just back on that one. Sometimes we lack in equipping the people. Exactly what's the system.
Yeah, well, the procedures.
The procedures are that we use. Every church have a different procedure. And I must just admit, when Crystal was small, it was easy to speak to everybody. Now, this is how you work it out. There's only 365 days in a year. So if you have 365 congregational members, it's easy to see everybody everyone every day. And then by the end of the year, you will have 365 visits. But just multiply that and multiply that and multiply that. Then you see it is important to have a team.
Yeah.
And that's what we motivate. We work as a team. And there's no one on this panel here that cannot solve the problem. And if they can't, we reference.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do about that, but I can bring somebody in to do that. For instance, if I do counseling, I will not be able to be the leader of the organization.
Yeah.
Because I won't be able to lead because it takes me away from my functional role.
Yeah.
So therefore, you have somebody to counsel. From the strategic perspective, I can dream stuff out. I can sit in a boardroom. I can speak to guys, but I need to roll it out to Roden Bora, and he should just follow it through. I can call the music minister in and say, I think we should change direction with music, or who's on this weekend, or is there something, whatever. I cannot be on the practice on a Wednesday, serve that team. You should trust your teams to work with the congregation. And sometimes it's not easy. But I must just admit, now that we have that phone, a dedicated phone, specifically with a number, they can literally speak directly to us.
Yeah.
And then we'll take it from there.
I just want to add on to that. I just want to say that the ambassadors are doing a sterling job, and that's why they've been appointed as ambassadors. So, for example, if something happens and you know who the ambassador is, for somebody to drive from the East Rand to get to you, he's around the corner from you. So we have the access. So I want to encourage the congregation. If you don't know who your area ambassador is, call the office and at least will give you their number. They'll give you the person's contact, so it makes it easier. In case I can't get out there, I'm caught up with another family or something, because it happens, then there's somebody that can come there immediately. They might not give the counsel, but they are there to give an ear. And that information will be filtered through to the office. And once it gets here, the likelihood that we will not respond is very minimal. We will respond, because how will it look out there that we did tell Roden Bora that this and he never spoke to anybody? It gives a bad reflection. So we're all about that. Remember, I was saying people are more important than paper. Yeah. So what we want to do is, and what we want to appeal to, and what this is about, is for the interaction between the congregation and ourselves. So there are area ambassadors out there. Find out on the website, they are there. Go check it out on the website, and then get in contact with them. So in case that one of us can't get there because we might be caught up with something, the area ambassador is around the corner from you. He's a stone throw away. He'll rock up there. There was a funeral the other day where somebody had lost someone, and immediately there was one call. I was somewhere else, and that person went up immediately, went to the house, and they were just there to pray with the people, say this is the process and the procedures, and it makes it so much easier for us. So the guys that have been appointed as area ambassadors, their word is just as good as ours. And that is what I want to say. They're there to hear. And so make use of that service and that opportunity to contact or to send messages through to us.
Yeah.
I just before you go, Roden, I just want to say there are times, and I guess this is in every church, that though people report to others, they don't convey necessarily the message through. And sometimes we're stuck in that position. And sometimes people think we know, and I don't know. Sometimes somebody's in hospital. And you know, and as a senior pastor, you walk onto the floor and people look funny at you. And you don't know. But the person who they really reported to never communicated that message through to you. So you don't know that somebody's close mother, father, brother, sister, family, friend, it's really in the hospital. And is that miscommunication? But the Church of God should get to a point of honesty. When you upset, and it also has to do with your emotional intelligence. Not everybody have the same emotional intelligence, and that's understandable. But I think we need to get to a point where we say, you know what, let's grow up. I'm not going to leave the church, I'm going to speak up. I receive a lot of that type of calls, inboxes. You never come back to me about what? Then I check with my staff, and it could be on the staff, it could be on volunteering level, it could be in the iHub. The information could sit anywhere. And there's a may I say, a level of expectation that if they say one person, share it with one person, they think automatically everybody knows.
Yeah.
But there's also such a thing as privacy and confidentiality. You cannot just share information. You should first ask the person if you could or may you, and then send it on as it goes. Because I trust the leadership. But I must admit, every church have that type of leadership. There are people that's on leadership, but they don't necessarily want another person to take responsibility because they want to play John Wayne. Who's the new one? Whatever. John Wayne and Bruce Lee is them old school. Maybe Iron Man. They want to be Iron Man. Or maybe who's the you don't know. You know what Spider-Man. They want to be something, and it's hard sometimes because they take the responsibility away from shepherding and leadership, and then we look back bad. But sometimes I must just also admit, and I'm saying just tongue in cheek, sometimes leaders that's on your team want to build a team around them, and they want to look like the hero. And there's a bigger picture.
True.
Church is about family, and everybody goes to the church that they want to. You will always find people that want to belong to a small church where there's only 90 or 60 people. And there's nothing wrong with that. And you will find people that wants to be part of Crystal Church because there's something that they like about the church. If it's the worship, if it's preaching, if it's excellence, if it's structure, it doesn't matter. There's different things that attract people to church and make them loyal towards the organization.
Yeah, I just wanted to say there was a comment on one of the comments that can they utilize that number to send prayer requests as well. I think anything that if you want information, you can utilize that number. We have put it under the comments. The number is 079-827-3507. So you're more than welcome to prayer request or any other question or information that you might want to require. That number, you can utilize that number for that purpose.
I just have one, most probably to Xavier or anybody on the set. But I would like to know, how involved do we have millennials and Zs on our platforms? And how relevant do you think our platforms are to serve the millennials and the Zs?
So in this stage of the game, us as Crystal Church, we're not necessarily reaching that audience as we stand now. I'm not sure if it's that we are not doing enough to reach them. I'm not sure if the strategy needs to shift. I'm not sure what needs to happen, but perhaps the strategy needs to be revisited. Perhaps there's some things that we need to do just to revisit and potentially focus on that demographic purposefully and say, okay, right, we're actually focusing on this. So like recently what we did was we sat in a board meeting and we discovered that there is a need for Kids Believe, which is the quote unquote old school Sunday school name. And we came to realize and understand that, okay, there's actually a need for this demographic here because people are watching online, they're watching with their children and their children are getting bored, they want to watch something else. So let's create something to gear towards that. And then a team was put together to say, okay, right, we're going to come out and make videos specifically just for the kids. And then and that, so the past Sunday that videos went live. The response was incredible. People are enjoying it. The kids are liking it. And so then we said, okay, right, we have that going. Let's see how we can amplify that. And I think maybe a particular approach needs to be taken in that regard also. And the challenge comes in with the question is that the demographics are vast. And different things appeal to different audiences. And so the other day I was on my Instagram and I was watching somebody's Instagram that went live. And so I was a youth pastor probably 2-3 years ago. I've lost a little bit of touch with what the young people are doing now. And I was watching this Instagram live video and then they had one of their school friends come up because you can do like a multi-call and whatever. And the things that they were speaking about, I then sat there and I was listening to this and I realized there were a bunch of things that popped up in my mind immediately. That number one, the things that they are facing is not necessarily different to the things I addressed 10 years ago. the sex, the relationship issues, the drug abuse. It's the same thing. The same thing that was there 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 30 years ago, 50 years ago. It went from alcohol to weed to cigarettes to now hardcore cocaine. The drugs just changed, but the situations are more or less similar. And, the relationship issues, different people, but the situation stays the same. And so when I was watching this live, I was thinking to myself, okay, right, we need to speak to this generation again, but speak their language. And the language has changed. They use different lingo. They speak in a different way. So I think maybe as a church, I'm putting the responsibility on myself and piggybacking on my previous statement that it's nice to say, do this, do that, but it's a different ballgame to actually come to the party and say, hey guys, we need to actually switch on. Your Pastor Lester wants to say something.
Yeah, we must also realize we're learning as we're going along. So we don't have it all together. The physical church, church.
The new church. The physical and the digital church.
Yeah.
The physical church.
It's a different situation. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
There's on a digital on a physical side, you can put things together quickly. But on a digital side, there's so many things to consider, So it's difficult to get there. But what we're doing and the challenge with this whole COVID issue and the lockdown is we're becoming more creative as we're going along. And it's exciting. We're enjoying the process. We're not frustrated with the process.
No, we're not.
We're enjoying the process.
Yes.
So if, like Xavier said, we're coming up, we look, there's a need for the children, we do that. There's a need for the youngsters, we want to venture into that and see what works. We're not going to have everything all
Perfect.
together and perfect, but we're doing something. We can't just sit back there. I was seeing a statement and saying, online church is not working. I just want to tell you, online church is not working. The people are not watching. Okay, fine. So what must we do? Now we must just sit back,
And not do anything.
relax,
And might
and
just
not
leave
do
it.
anything, and
It was
wait
not
now
working
for wait now for the president to say again, okay, now you can go back. No,
Make it work.
Make it work. Do things to see. You have to be innovative and proactive. You can't just sit back there. And I believe that's what the growing church is all about. Is all about us doing things and trying things. So even if it doesn't work, we try something else and we move with it. And I think that's what makes it exciting for us.
We fail forward.
Yeah, I just want to say that there's a saying that says, necessity is the mother of invention. And this is where we are at.
That's
So
where
we
we
are
are.
catering to the needs and we are inventing as we're going along. And I
Yes.
think that is progression, it is growth. And so when there's a need, we start inventing. This
Yes.
is what we need to do.
Yes.
And we're growing.
100%.
We definitely. I think my next meeting with this staff will be, what must we do? Because I'm very concerned about the TikTok generation.
Yes. True.
Because they think differently and they've got a different approach towards life.
Yeah.
And we're almost done with the show. I see the producers walking in and she said, "Yeah, you must. She's giving us 10 minutes. Great. I like that. Thank you so much. Because there's one more thing that I really want to discuss, and I think it's important. But what's your point?
I just want to put this out there. Millennials, if you are listening, if you are watching, please, we need your input.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
definitely, hook us up, comment, give us ideas
What
as
do you
to
want
what
to
is
see?
this, what did you want to see?
Exactly.
And sorry, just to add on to what Pastor Roden is saying, be present as well then, because again, back to my
Yeah.
point, it's nice to say, do this, do that, why not this one?
But where are you?
Come.
Yes.
And then let's come be here every night, come to the rehearsals, come to the things, and then come, and then you'll also realize, hey, this thing is not so easy like
As
it
we
looks. It's
said,
nice
yeah.
to throw comments and to say this and that. It's a different ballgame to execute.
I must just say, church has changed.
Yeah.
If you look at not just now,
Yeah.
with COVID-19, even back in the day, when I started church when I was 30 years old, I started church and I literally had to take my cue from baby boomers, and it was hard. I tell you, I cannot mention names, but 2 baby boomers paid me a visit. 2 baby boomers, baby boomer pastors. They paid me a visit and say, "This is not church. You can't do church like that." But I had to stick to it, and to get us for where we are. I'm also in danger of falling into a trap. It's for everybody. If you don't stay open and if you don't understand the cloud is moving, God never asked the Israelite permission to move.
No.
He just moved the cloud.
No.
And I think God moved the cloud now with this digital age. It's like you come or you go. There's another thing that the ground fields has been leveled. It doesn't matter your size church. You could have a 5,000 seater church or a 50 seater church. We all are now plain level.
Yeah.
All of us need to start working all over again. We need to see where our people are, what's their state, what's their condition. It's almost like we need to test our investment. And sometimes investments are not doing well. The one day the markets are doing good, the other day it's doing bad. That's what it is. That's the game. And you need to just work with it. But for now, for where I am, I'm really, really, really concerned about the Generation Z. And Alphas is still way too young. But there's a group there that I feel that we're missing out on. And at another show, we will most probably categorize and get into that. But I think we need to get back to the boardrooms and think and discuss how to get them involved. For everybody, anyone watching out there, if you have an idea, let us know. Tell us how to reach them with the gospel. You know, you can stand here on this side and shout and say, you need Jesus. That's not going to help. You need to know how to say that to them.
Innovative.
You need to be very innovative. Then, do you know what's the hard part about the physical and the digital connection, the phygital church? The hard part for that connection is to preach the gospel with digital evangelism, to get it out there. Now, it's one thing, I must just say this with great respect to everybody out on the platforms as pastors preaching. It's one thing not to be a pastor and jump onto this digital platform like a pastor, as a pastor. It's not the same thing because you don't have life experience with congregation. You don't have to feed budgets. You don't know what it is to keep the lights on. You don't know what it is to do weddings, to do funerals, and it's the easiest thing to go out and to be very verbal against what we are doing. And I'm really standing up for the older pastors, and I'm really standing up for millennial pastors, because we are really working hard, 100%. Very, very hard, to keep God's church afloat. And secondly, and I know the gates of hell will not prevail, and it's God that's building His church, but God needs His people to build His church. So we're really working hard, and I'm really getting to a point just to say this. When you're out there, I'm concerned now if we about carrying the correct message through to this Generation Z. Because are we doing enough to let them feel part of church? Or are we so stuck in the past that when they sit down there and they look at us there, it looks like 1945 and 2021?
Can I mention something on that point? Now, so the TikTok generation, what also makes it increasingly challenging is that the type of challenges that, when I say challenges, it's your hashtag a challenge, and then that's the challenge that like everyone does. The type of challenges that go viral are the type of challenges that are very promiscuous, or you must show breasts, or you must show backsides, or like basket challenges, all these challenges that go viral. Now you come on that platform and you want to speak sense in a world where sense is like, we want to see bums and boobs, like, now you come in here with serious things. And so to try and play into that world and take it from someone who knows, who's trying to understand this world in a better way, it's incredibly challenging to come with sense in an environment where everything is about, sexuality and this and that. Now you must come and talk serious things. And so to find that bridge between, okay, right, and I think we've done it before, and I think we can do it again, to find that bridge between, all right, we meet you where you are promiscuously, but then we find a way to bring you in and then deposit the sense. So I think that the one of the solutions would be, let's, number one, understand where the generation is, and then meet them there. And then take their hands and say, okay, right, I see you here, but it's not going to work for you. Come, let's go here. And then perhaps take that journey with them. And that journey is going to require energy and effort and consistency, which I think is something we need to focus on.
You know, I just want to say, I also noticed from where I sit, I also noticed that the generation that have children now, the parents fail in producing children that loves God and church.
Yeah.
Not all, but some. Because, and there's a reason for that. The parents are negative about church at home, and negative about the preaching at home, and negative. And by the time their children turn the corner, they don't want to hear anything about church because the parents made a bad investment
Correct.
into their children and their spouses. And then, and it's not rocket science to see sometimes you find pastors, their spouses are not in church. Their children are not in church. There's a simple answer. There's a bad message going home.
True.
And that message destroyed them, not us.
Yeah.
And that's where we stuck. Because if everybody have a responsibility towards their own children. I take, for instance, Pastor Lester. I was so glad to see your daughter on making a show for the children's church. Then I see your son involved there. And I see your wife right through COVID. The whole family is involved. Then I also see on our same staff, their families are not involved. It's painful to see that everybody's pushing, and then sometimes I see Xavier bring his children even here. It's like, now all I'm saying is, we struggle because this generation project the wrong message to their children. And therefore the children also allow everything and anything. Now, we have again the responsibility as pastors to go bring their children back to God. And so that their children may serve God eventually.
It's amazing when you see, Doc, you get certain children, you get any children in the 4 years, and they ask, when is children's church coming back? You know what I'm saying? But you get other parents that complain about children's church. It's like, yeah, you are not doing children's church properly, you have to do. But then you think to yourself, how can others be happy and they can't wait for children's church? And others are just like, nonchalant. It's because that you say. People visit church once in 2 months and they expect growth. Your children are getting used to it.
Yes.
They're getting used to not going to church on a Sunday. They're getting used to going to the mall. They're getting used to going to the playground on a Sunday morning. And that's going to become their reality.
A new culture.
A new culture.
Church,
Unchurched culture.
unchurched culture.
You know what I'm saying? So the responsibility at the end of the day is back on the parents. That's where we can steer the children in the right direction. Can try everything that we can muster to send them in the right direction. But it's like the word says, train up the child in the way he should go, and he will not depart from that way.
Yeah.
You have to do that as a parent. It's your responsibility.
Well, you know what? I need to get to the last point, a really, really important point. I think for any pastor out there, because to keep the lights on, to pay staff, to do community work, to serve the community. On this one, be faithful with your financial giving. Just because the doors are closed does not mean the expenses and effort stops. You want to go back to a sanctuary that has been well maintained. 100%. Isn't that beautiful? I just want to thank Pastor Paul Gonzalez for this beautiful remark. It helps us to start dialogue and talk to the congregation. One of the things that I know pastors are scared of is to talk about money. Because all the negative remarks out there. But I just wanted to say, not everybody is negative.
Yes.
And I just want to say this again. Pastors have careers just like doctors.
Yes.
Pastors have a career just like those in politics. Pastors have careers just like the president and the ministers. And therefore, we work hard to sustain God's church, which is the only institute that will go through the grave into eternity.
100%.
All the others will cease.
Yes.
But the people place their priorities at the wrong place. For instance, church is at the lower end. But yet, the text is clear in Malachi. Test me herein and see, God say. It's like, let's use layman's term. Dare me and see if I will not sustain you through COVID. Watch me and see if I will not have my hand of protection over your life. Because if you like it or not, it's God's principle. Giving, you cannot take it away. As the sun comes up in the morning, God instructed that to be. And as the moon by night,
Yes.
God instructed that to be. As giving 10% of your income to the church of God is from God. So there's a lot of, shall I say, theories out there that pastors are eating the money. And there's a lot of theories like there's mismanagement of that. In spite of all the theories, it doesn't take the sun coming up away
Yeah.
and the moon by night.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what people say. God is still saying you should tithe.
Yes.
And the whole tithe, not some of it. The interesting part is, did you notice in every church, I don't know in our church, but we can discuss that. People can buy cars by their own tithe. People can buy and they can jump from one house to a new house and have all the complaints that they don't meet budget. But you just see how they up their lifestyle. You see on their style, the way they dress and how they do things and. But God is at a lower end if it comes to giving. So I am on that one point there of Pastor Paul Gonzalez. Be faithful in your finances.
Yes.
It's the least that you can do towards the church, even during lockdown. There's availability. I must just say, it's not always easy to talk about these things.
Yes,
because people misinterpret you.
Yeah.
And people don't have the same faith. But all I'm saying, do justice. Do good unto God.
Yes.
And watch what God will do for you and your family. I want to just encourage somebody out there that's in our family as Crystal, just to do God.
Yeah.
And I want to encourage somebody else watching that belongs to another church, just do God. I must just add on this. I find people that if you start talking about finances, then they do what you call church hopping.
Yeah.
They go to another church
Yeah.
with the hope that nobody's going to say anything there,
Yeah.
because they really don't want to give unto God.
Yeah.
But you know what? The same Holy Spirit
He's gonna convict you.
is going to convict you there.
Yes.
Then you have to pack up again and move again.
Yeah.
There's another thing that I notice. People that get prosperous, they're good to tithe from a low income.
Yeah.
But the minute it goes to another income, and they've got a lot to do with a lot of things. I must just add on this thing, and I'm a little naughty around this thing. People that belongs to white pastoring churches, they tithe, and they're excited about that, and they don't even think bad when we make a call. Our calls are not financially driven,
Yes.
but we make a call to find out how you're doing. Those churches, they ask you, when are you tithing? We notice you didn't tithe this month. We don't make that calls. Though it's on our membership list. We ask you, can we call you? And you sign for it, but we never do. So what I'm saying at the end of the day is also a mindset that you can give there, but you can't give here. And I'm just on this one note, and I just want to emphasize this before we move on and close the show down. It is also a strong demonic force that's working within people based on the apartheid, that black, colored, and Indian people cannot do well with church. And we are not accountable with the church's money. So that is a negative narrative, a bad narrative that's out there. And we should not be scared to take the inside show and the filling station and say, you know what, you're wrong. We are accountable. And there's beautiful pastors out there. I know a lot of beautiful pastors who really lay their lives out to let it work. They sacrifice. Just this weekend there was a funeral in Mafeking where Pastor Bora just returned from. If you see what that pastor did, it's commendable. It's commendable. And if you look at the income versus what he did, it's commendable. We want to applaud the pastors. And we want to say you're doing well. And I know it's difficult, and I know it's hard, and I know it's negative out there, but you are doing well. And the congregational members should see that. And there's one thing that you cannot reverse. You cannot take spirituality out of you. The Bible says we are spirit, we have a soul, and we live in a body. The body part is where you put your food in. And most of the time, that's what we do. And that's where the doctors also make their money, from your body part. You get sick, you have got high blood and low blood, middle blood, you go to, that's the body part. Then you've got the soulish part. That's where your intellectual capacity and your emotions and your reasoning sits. That's where you literally think from. You get your degree in that area, your reason and your thinking. But there's a spiritual side. And that spiritual side, we are responsible for it. Everybody out there, we are born with a spirit, a soul, and a body. The spiritual side is our responsibility, and we should stand tall there, and we should direct on all spheres, including the financial one. So that's our little bit for the morning.
Yeah, there was a guy that posted on I think it was on Facebook. Yeah, we must teach the people how to invest and stop giving tithes.
Yo.
And then Anka was reading it and she said, "Hey, must I comment?" I said, "Wait, leave it." Then somebody else commented. Then somebody said, "Yeah, and when the stock market crashed, then you mustn't ask God to help you." Then somebody else commented the same thing. Then they said, "Yeah, but the pastor steal the money." Then somebody else said, "Hey, God is telling you to give into the local church. If a pastor steal the money, it's not your business. He will answer to God what he does with that money." But then the point is that there are people still out there that are saying, "Hey, whoa, don't come talk your rubbish here. This thing works." And this is, and again, you put your trust in the stock market. When COVID started, Microsoft hit almost zero. The other stocks all dropped. And then some people lost millions in those markets. And then what? Then you pray to God, "Lord, please can you help me?" There was one guy said he went to prison and he said, "I didn't believe in God, but when I came in there, I was like, yo, God, if you're real, I need your help." And it's that moment of you putting your trust in all those things. And when the popo really hits the fan, then you realize, "Hey, whoa, I need God."
There is a God.
Yeah. Let's say you go.
Okay, I'm just thinking, most of it is a trust factor, right? We've been around, next year we're 30 years. Yeah. I mean, 30 years, you should trust us by now. Really, no one has run away with nothing. The pastors I know, the congregations that I know, different congregations and pastors out there, there's not one of them, and I know a lot of pastors, there's not one of them that I can point a finger to and say there was maladministration. You know what I'm saying? They're building the church from ground level, scratch, right up there, and they're still maintaining that. If you don't know by now that we are trustworthy, then I don't understand. We've been around for quite some time. There's young millennial pastors that have rised up now, and they're doing phenomenal work. You look at where they are ministerially and where they are privately, and it matches up. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's not about leave the trust issue now. It's like Doc says, just do God.
Do God.
And don't listen to the negative voices out there.
God.
Just do God. And I want to thank those people
Yes.
that has been sustaining the ministry throughout lockdown. Your finances has been coming through. Thank you so much. It's really commendable. And you are true Christians, and you're standing for the right thing. And we want to commend you on that. We want to encourage the others. Some might have taken a knock here financially and so forth, but trust God and believe in Him and just do Him, and things will work out.
Well, that was the 5 points that we discussed today about our dear beloved Pastor Paul Gonzalez. And thank you so much. The last one was don't backslide or grow lukewarm. I guess if you don't do what we discussed, you'll automatically get into a lukewarm stage. And that's the beginning of being backslide. It is moving away from God. It's missing the target. So for everybody out there, the Crystal family and any other person on the platform from any other church, thank you so much for tuning in today. We really, really appreciate your time with us. And thank you for your positive comments. And you can also be negative. It's okay. We will read at it. If we're guilty of it, we'll correct it and move on again. We're not all perfect. And you'll always find people that's negative. But I must just say, in all churches, majority are good. Majority are positive. It's only people that have bad motives. They don't want to see God's work to propel. They will always try to influence and pull people in. From my side, Nikki, Goliath, Veronique, thank you so much for tuning in. You were a bit nervous this morning, but I think you calm now and everything. And thank you for your contribution. Thank you, Pastor Bora, Xavier. Thank you so much, Pastor Neil and Pastor Lester. Thank you for showing up this morning. Tomorrow's show, you dare not miss. I've got tomorrow here, I've got Dr. Jeffy Pereira with me in the studio tomorrow. I do have also Pastor Wayne Chef from Raymond North in the studio. Then I have Pastor Paul Gonzalez with us in the studio here tomorrow. And it's going to be a beautiful lineup. We're going to get back to that 9 points because people felt that we rushed through those points. And there were certain things that they want us to pause on and so on. So we really going to talk again about this the Fidgetal Church. And we're going to take the church further. It seems like this week. And next week, I can't wait. We're going to be on vaccines. So
Yeah, man.
people are negative towards it. People are positive towards it. People have doubts about it. The vaccines is right in Bloemfontein now. They check if the quality is good and everything. So next week we're going to hit shows on the vaccines. And then I'll also have on next week, Tuesday, Apostle Atifanel with me on that specific subject. That's going to be a hard one. He always comes from a different platform. And the man is sharp and he's called for such a time as this. Well, from my side, I just want to tune out and thank you so much. I want you please, if you don't mind, to subscribe. I want you please to hit that bell because you will know every single time when we come online. And it's so good to have you on the other side. And thank you for your positivity. Thank you so much for your honesty, and thank you so much for tuning in on the Inside Show. Well, I'm signing out from my side, Carl Hendricks. I love you, and God loves you best, and have a super wonderful Tuesday. And I'm out. Goodbye. Good morning, everybody. It is so good to have you here with me. Imagine if you have your vision as the car with the right team. Imagine how quick that vision will come into the picture. Something that was taking 5 years takes 3 months. This morning is all about the leadership and influence.